Hi there, my name is Tony Laurie.
And I'm Laurie
And we come from Hong Kong.
So I'm originally American. I grew up in the US, but then after college I joined the Peace Corps and went to the Philippines, and I spent 10 years there. I met him and we moved to Hong Kong, and we've been there for the last 32 years. He's born and raised, but I'm a transplant. We came to Panama a year ago. We had a small factory, textile factory in southern China, not too far from Hong Kong, which we lost due to the trade war. And we decided that we really couldn't stay in Hong Kong, and we didn't particularly want to go back to the US, so we started looking around where we could go. And I think your sister had looked at Panama, so she suggested we look at it. So I was doing online searching, and I found Jackie's tour. And so in July 2019, we couldn't both go because we're busy closing down the factory and trying to sell our office and get out of everything. So he said, you go and make the decision. I said, okay, not too much pressure there.
Very trusting am I.
And I came and I liked it, and I particularly liked Volcan, so I said, yep, we'll go and we'll go to Volcan. And then he got it in his, and one of the reasons was I've done hot and humid for 42 years. I'm tired of hot and humid. And he's like, oh, but I want to stay at the beach. I'm like, no.
The sound of the sea is so wonderful.
You can
until
get a
the bus
recording.
comes, exactly.
Yeah. So when we first came here, we did a house sitting, dog sitting on Isla Saboga for 3 months, and that cured him of the beach.
Yes. But still it was very nice, but it's just this constant heat. No air conditioning, and it's just, after a while, it was a bit too much. And then the bugs, that was the one that really uncomfortable. So I got my fix.
Originally, when we came, we planned to travel around the country, and we got shut down due to COVID. So we spent 3 months in Valle, where we happened to be when they put up all the sanitary fences. And then we went to Saboga. And then in October, we left Saboga. And the woman we were house sitting for was returning to France. And she had 5 large dogs. And so we offered to take them. Now, I had texted Jackie and asked her, how long will it take us to find an apartment? We just wanted a short term while we looked around. And she said 2 or 3 days. And then I texted her back, well, if we have 5 dogs, how long do you think it'll take? And she said, you better get an Airbnb for a month. And she was absolutely spot on, because the real estate agents, 5 dogs. So she found us a place for a month, actually, and it was lovely. It was 2 blocks up from the main street of Boquete, and we enjoyed it. We could walk into town and try the restaurants, and could go shopping easily. And we bought the car when we were still in Boquete, right?
Yeah.
We got a car.
At the end of it, yeah.
But the house search was difficult. And then Jackie texted me again. She'd found a place on Craigslist, which was this place. So we came out here and we liked it, and so we took it. And we've got a great landlady, we've got great neighbors, so we've really enjoyed it and plan to stay.
It's a far cry from Hong Kong to a potato farm, so that's an interesting experience for me. But it's nice. I mean, it's really nice to have the open area here. I mean, living here now, I take rainbows for granted. We can look down, oh, just a rainbow. In Hong Kong, I think in all my life, I hardly see more than, I think, 10 rainbows in my life. And here I just say, hey, it's just another rainbow. So it's very nice that way.
You walk out the front door and you've got, well, you walk out any door, you have a gorgeous view.
Yeah.
And you don't worry about someone building a high-rise in front of your view.
Yeah.
Which is, a given in Hong Kong. You get a view and then it's gone.
It's something that's really very different and very, very nice. It's such a transformation in our life that I would have never dreamed of that 2 years ago, that I would be living in a place like this, and having the luxury of enjoying the places around me. So that's fantastic in that sense. It does take a little bit of adjustment for us. The lifestyle is very different from Hong Kong. Everything in Hong Kong is like boom, 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 boom. Here you just sit back and say, okay, here it comes. And that's an adjustment, but a nice adjustment in that sense. I have time in my life that I can do certain things I want to do. There are more things to explore yet, I guess. The lockdown pretty much has kind of clamped our lifestyle a bit, but I'm sure it'll come back soon, and I'm looking forward to that exploration. So it's good so far.
So we're living on a 5-acre potato farm. There's 5 houses on it.
Yeah.
So our landlady lives next to us. Across one field is Denise and Keith. They're Americans came from North Carolina, very friendly. They make wonderful neighbors and friends. And then the woman who manages the farm lives in another home. And the other one is empty at the moment.
Yeah.
It's about 5 kilometers from here to Volcan. So we find pretty much anything we need in Volcan, and if we can't find it in Volcan, we can find it in David. Romero's has everything. There's quite a few grocery stores. There's several ferreteries.
Hardware
stores. Okay.
Yes.
Hardware stores. And the good thing for Tony about the hardware stores is, well, at least one of them is owned by Chinese, and they speak Cantonese.
Most of them are Chinese, actually.
He doesn't have a problem with the with the language. But yeah, it's.
And I get discount. And it's nice. I mean, you go in there. I mean, for us brand new here, not knowing a word in Spanish, getting in a hardware store, man, this is totally off my mind. But then again, I can talk to guys in Chinese, and that makes it a lot easier. So I enjoy that. And there are a lot of them hardware stores around here, and so be able to get around and get the things I need to, fix around the home here, and that was helpful. But the food here, everything generally been fine. I think there are a lot of good restaurants around here. And one thing I've noticed is it's opening up a lot more.
More and more opening up. When we first came, there was the Wandering Sloth, which we love, and what's the Italian restaurant? Carbonara, which is also very good. And the Barricos, which is a Mexican restaurant, which we like very much. And then a food truck, Tidbits, opened up, and we like that. And there's a good local Panamanian restaurant across from the park that we found. So we're slowly trying things out. And
there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them.
Yeah, we need to expand our horizons.
We're not very.
We get into a rut.
Yeah, we're not very adventurous, but there are a lot that we should try them out. And
we will.
I like Panamanian food, so there's a Chinese restaurant here too, but I have not tried that yet. That's going to be a real test for me. See how that one goes. But plenty of good food enough around here that I don't run short. I get down to David, to some of the China store to buy some food if I'm desperate for that. And they generally have enough for me to, with my limited skill in cooking, that's enough for me to have already. And they're pretty good. And then we have some Chinese friends here too, and they help us along to show me around where to get all the stuff. And once in a while they get me a little roast duck, which is great, a little roast pork, which is great. So that's plenty good for me, guy coming from Hong Kong. So I'm happy so far with the food.
I wanted to get involved in community organizations or community actions, so I found there's a very active recycling group here. Every Friday we get together and people bring their recycling and we sort it and then it goes, I think it's sent up to Costa Rica where they sell it, so you know that what you're recycling is really being used again. So that's been a good opportunity for me to meet some people and to be involved in the community, and I enjoy it very much. And I think once things start to open up and this whole pandemic issue is over, then I'll probably look for a few other things as well. But right now, it's a fun thing to do on Friday mornings. Prices here are generally significantly cheaper than Hong Kong. So for this house is 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, open kitchen, which I love, and we pay $625 a month, and that includes water, gas, electricity, maintenance, Wi-Fi, basically everything but our mobile phone. In Hong Kong, you couldn't get a parking space for that price.
You couldn't get a bathroom for that price.
No, so the rent, I mean, our daughter came to visit over Christmas, and when we told her what we paid, she was, I can't believe that. How can you guys do that? I said, well, that's one of the reasons we're here, dear. For groceries, I think it's quite similar. In Hong Kong, you can eat very cheaply if you eat local foods. If you go to the market to get your groceries, it's really very inexpensive. If you want to buy imported products, then it can be very expensive. And I think
generally the prices here, in general level, is very reasonable. It's not significantly cheaper if you bring in some of the food here, like get a bag of Doritos. It's similar price here as in Hong Kong, that I find it. But if you look at the vegetables and the availability of those produce, that is significantly cheaper than Hong Kong. And Hong Kong has a lot of variety, of course, but everything's imported. So that's the reason why probably it's because it's expensive. But if you're here, you cannot get a bag of 50 oranges for $2.50. Where in the world you can find that? You get a fantastic pineapple for $1. Where in the world you can find that? Now that I enjoy tremendously. So in that sense, I think it's a lot cheaper. But if you want to eat something, from the U.S. bring in from the U.S., that's similar price. But that's a choice I can make, right? So overall, I think finding meat here is fantastic. Chicken, meat. Beef, I'm not so sure. I've had ups and downs with that. But chicken is fantastic. No matter how bad a cook I am, it can still somehow come up with a very juicy chicken. I have no clue how to do it. So that's fantastic. And it's cheap. And so for that, it's quite sufficient for, Laurie's a vegetarian, so she's cheap to keep. For me, I'm the more expensive when I eat chicken. But other than that, that's actually pretty good. So we manage, we muddle, we get it done. And the rest is stuff, pasta and everything, those are very general prices. So it's manageable, absolutely is manageable, and it's working way better than the budget that we have in Hong Kong for food price.
I've never felt unsafe here. Even in Panama City, I didn't feel unsafe. Yeah. Sometimes that can be ignorance, but I have no problem driving into town. I mean, we don't go into town late at night. We're retired. And everything's closed at 9 o'clock anyway. But no, I feel fine here.
No, I think the people are friendly. Issues. People are friendly. Up and down. The town here is small and perfectly comfortable. And I find it surprising that most of the houses here have all these bars here, but I thought, well, I needed it. It's actually very safe. The neighborhood are very friendly, so that's okay. The only thing people have to get used to here maybe is talking about the driving here. It's a little bit something you have to get used to. I come from a very structured city where roads are, lanes are, this is the way, you do this and that. Here, you have to be all watched out. You have to be very alert because around a curve and double solid line, people will pass. Particularly at nighttime here, you can't see the road very well, and all of a sudden the car will just zoom by you. These are things you have to get used to. I mean, I drive very defensively because, one time I remember a couple of weeks ago, there was a road construction down the Volcan, and all the cars stopped, right? And so we all lined up waiting for the sign to say go. So when the sign turned green, we're all going. You think that one by one you go, but no, there was a guy behind me, decided he wanted to be faster, so he pulled up right next to me and passed me. And if I hadn't looked at the car, be careful about that, I would have hit that car. So these are things that as a foreigner coming here, you get the experience and get to learn and become wiser and smarter, and then you become one of them. So it's okay in that sense, right? And you're fine, and you'll be okay. So these are good experience and fun experience. Get an old car. No, don't worry about getting beat up. And so these are experience. But other than that, it's perfectly fine. I come from a right-hand side drive. Now I'm driving on the left-hand side car. Not a problem at all. So in safety-wise, no, perfectly okay.
And the only experience we've had with police here has been very good. I mean, when we were on Saboga, our food came in by ferry once a week. So we were supposed to quarantine for 2 weeks, but we had to get food. So we went down to the ferry on the day, we ordered the food and it came in on the ferry, and we went down and we came back. We didn't talk to anybody, and the police were there and they never said a word. But the next day, 2 policemen showed up at our door with an older gentleman and said, "You're supposed to be in quarantine." I said, "But we needed food." He said, "You should get a friend." I said, "Well, we just came here. We don't have any friends." So he gave me his phone number, and if you need anything, here it is. And then the other, the Jeep that we had to drive broke down on the day we were supposed to go to the ferry, and it was rainy, muddy day, and so we went down and we brought a bunch of bags so we could divide up the groceries and put them on our shoulders. And we were coming back, and the police who were always when the ferry came were walking back, and they took my groceries for me and carried them home.
Main reason we look into Panama is, of course, the healthcare issue. It's very expensive to live in the U.S. No doubt about that, particularly if we have not lived there many years.
Well, we never paid into Medicare.
So here in Panama, we
private health care at our age is just not possible in the U.S.
So everything, my sister's been telling me, Panama is a good place. She, been in the U.S. for donkey's years, and they were thinking about retiring here in Panama too. So they were looking at that, and they referred the place to us. And when we looked into the whole thing, one of the main things is medical care here is good and is cheap, and it's proven to be actually very, very reasonable price here. We're now looking into finding doctors here, dentists here, and getting our life set. So we come to a point now that we get those into getting it all done and have a peace of mind in that sense.
I went to one doctor when we were on Saboga. I got ringworm, and I had to go to Isla Contadora. So the boat over to Isla Contadora cost me $10. The doctor and the medicine was completely free. Even I didn't have my cedula yet. I think we were still on a temporary visa. And I said, "Where do I pay?" And they said, "You don't." So that was nice. We're looking into insurance. We haven't gotten it yet. I read that while the pandemic is still on, insurance companies aren't very excited about people our age, so we're waiting. But I also just contacted a doctor here, and I will be contacting a dentist next week because it's time. We haven't seen a doctor in a year other than for the ringworm.
And also, I think it's also great that they give senior citizen discount in medication, right? So for me, I take some medication long term, and to be able to get the discount, that helps. Get a 20% discount. So that's pretty good. And also, I think some of the medication that I'm taking, I'm supposed to be able to get it from the enroll in the government hospital too. I haven't done that. So in that sense, that it's good, with the medical part, even though we haven't gotten our insurance yet, it still make it much more affordable. To come to Panama, I think the first thing you have to let yourself prepare is things different. So go with the flow. Just enjoy it. You're moving to a new country. What better things to do than to absorb all this new experience? And that's the joy of it all. You're gonna try to meet new people, new language, new food, new air. And all these things is part of the joy. So if we want to stick with a certain old tradition, wipe it out. Just open up, and that's the excitement. That's what keeps me excited every morning when I wake up and look out there. There's a blue sky out there. So these are things we have to get our mind set in that sense. And once you have that done, everywhere is the same, everyone's just enjoyable. And Panama certainly is a great area. Volcan is a great area.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.